All right, so today I have the pleasure of having Mr. Sumit Bansal with us. And Sumit is an OG when it comes to expired domains and especially expired domains in iGaming, casino, betting niche. I've seen his post for I think past 4 5 years, and he's very consistent in just building massive traffic websites in casino, iGaming, betting, all those niches. Sumit, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you give us a quick intro about yourself, what you're doing, what you're passionate about doing as well?
Sure. So, thank you so much, Javes, for the introduction and inviting me over this call. So, yeah, my experience is right now, like we are focusing so much into iGaming niche because we see a lot of potential here, right? So, my story is I started it when I was 15 years old. So it was 9 or 10 years back, and that time, like people were buying expired domains for building BBN, and then people recently, slowly switched to building money sites. Then after all this recent Google updates and everything, it's really hard to use experiments for long-term rankings, and most of the experiments are being used for iGaming niches. So we are personally using these domains, and also helping our clients to use experiments power to rank in all of these iGaming niches around different geos, like so many of them.
Is your main service focused around finding and providing expired domains to your clients?
Yes, but it's more than just providing expired domains, because what sets us apart from everyone is that like I personally work on building sites in iGaming, right? Not just selling the domains, because like you have to stay up to date like how these domains work, because there is a thing called success rate when it comes to expired domains, right? So you need to like stay up to date, like what kind of expired domains work, that technical aspects and all of those things. So we basically work in those niches, like to help our clients. I personally provide consultation, and I help with a custom strategy for our clients. They share like what their goals, like their keywords, the country they are targeting. So I take care of all of that, and I help them propose a plan with all the investment and everything.
What's your take about 301 link building? And if you're using expired domains for link building purpose, how would you go about it?
Okay, so 301 link building, like there's only one scenario where you can actually use the 301 link building, is like when you're owning a brand and you can't change the domain name, right? Because if you have a very legit brand and you want to improve its rankings, then you can't simply use an expired domain to build another website, right? So in that case, you can just use 301 link building. And I know a lot of sites in the iGaming which uses, dozens of 301s to increase their referring domains and the authority of the domain, and eventually it helps them like boost the ranking and the traffic. Like I saw some sites like which have hundreds of thousands of traffic, and they have like thousands of referring domains from 301.
And is it safe for sites that are not a proper brand, let's say an affiliate site or info site, a rank and rent site? Is it safe for those kind of sites as well to utilize 301 link building or using expired domain just to boost their authority or backlink power?
That's the thing, right? Because I always tell people to focus on making money through SEO, right? Because when you are doing the 301, and you are just, what you can do is like there are two methods of doing the 301. First is you redirect the domain to the homepage, right? It's a more riskier approach, but a lot of people do, and they are ranking for long term, right? The second approach is you create a merging page on your main domain and you redirect the expired domain there. So 301 link building is working really, really good nowadays. However, my first priority is like if you have the opportunity, get an expired domain, get a right expired domain, and build your site on it, because that's the fastest way to get results.
And what if a site is already doing well? They want a backlink boost or domain authority boost, and they want to redirect a couple of expired domains to their main site. Now, in that scenario, should they just redirect the whole domain to their homepage, or should they build a website on those expired domains first and then one by one do the redirects, URL by URL?
Okay, so this is a good question. So let's say you're going to buy an expired domain, right? And if the domain was dead for a long period, right? If you're buying from like directly from auctions, and if the domain was dead for a very, very long period, you definitely want to relive the domain first, because you want that Google sees it as a live business with all the pages get indexed again, right? And then you do the 3-zone redirection. However, if the domain was recently expired and it came into the auction, or if you're buying from a company like us, and if the domain is already recovered with archive, or if it was recently put into the auction, you can straight away redirect the domain. Because you need to understand, like if the domain is dead for a long period, Google slowly forget about it. So if that time period is very long and you see the domain's pages are de-indexed, then you definitely want to lift that domain first, so that all the pages get taken all the indexed, and then you redirect it.
Sumit, what's your process for finding expired domains? How do you go about finding these domains, your vetting process? Do you mind sharing your process with us?
So like we have been finding domains for like almost 10 years now, and we have always improved our process. We have our own custom tools, in-house team and everything, right? But if someone wants to buy domains from the auctions, because auction is the best place, and I had my workshop in Chiang Mai as well where I shared that you can get the best domains from auctions. That's the fastest way. So if you want to buy, you can just sign up for tools like Domcop or Spamzilla, and you can just filter the domains by auctions. Like for example, if you want to buy domains from GoDaddy auctions, you can just filter the list by GoDaddy auctions, and you can put your desired metrics, for example, 10 domain rating or 20 domain authority, for example, and you can easily find out all the domains which are available. And one trick to find the best domains is if the domain has very high bid, right? Very high bid, like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, you get an idea that that domain is like really good. So it saves your technical expertise. Like if you're not really an expert, if the domain is good or not, you can just go with the flow that if people are bidding on that domain a very high amount, it means that domain must be good. So this is one thing you can follow if you're directly buying from the auctions. Use those tools and follow the bidding process.
Right. Do you come across, hidden gems where domain bid is not very high, but you're still able to find some really solid, strong domains at a very cheap price?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, like more than 50,000 domains come into GoDaddy auctions daily, right? And if you have a proper process, like because the thing is, if you want to find those domains, then you need to check each domain one by one to see if it has good backlinks and if it is not spammy. And then you check the auction bid. It's a very tedious process because we have our own in-house team and we check thousands of domains daily to find out those domains as well which are like have low bids, and they have like really good potential. So it comes down to like this tedious work where you need to spend a lot of time in analyzing domains. So you can do that, or if you want just one or two domain, you can go with the high bid amount, so you understand that's a good domain.
Now, how can people be sure of the quality of expired domains?
Okay, so the number one factor which I have been testing and I found out is that the domain should have traffic, right? So if the domain has traffic, specifically brand traffic, like if the domain was legit business, for example, a domain was about restaurant or any kind of physical brick and mortar business, that kind of domain will have brand searches as well. And if that domain was recently expired and it is available into the auction and it's getting traffic, that's the best kind of domain, and that's the domain which will be like selling for thousands of dollars in auctions alone. So my number one criteria is the traffic. So traffic should be genuine, it should be coming from brand. The second criteria is, of course, backlinks, because if the domain does not have backlinks, it means that it might be getting traffic on very low competitive terms, right? Apart from the brand terms, of course. So the domain should have strong backlinks. So if the domain is getting traffic and it has strong backlinks as well, we get an indication that the domain is ranking for tough keywords. And you can, of course, do some manual analysis as well, that if those keywords are really tough or not. But first is traffic, second is backlinks, and third is, of course, that you need to make sure the domain was like not repurposed as PBN or building money site, and also like the domain was not dead for a very long period of time.
Right. How do you check whether the domain was repurposed for a PBN or link farm activity?
So we use Wayback Machine, and I think people must be aware about it. They can go to archive.org and they can just search the domain. So what we do is, whenever we find a domain, we check the domain at every month and day of the year. So like the domain has a latest history in 2024. We check December, November, August, July, February, Jan of 2024, like every date, to make sure the domain was not repurposed. Checking the domain from archive.org is the most time consuming process because you have to be like 100% sure the domain was not used.
Right. And you do it manually, right?
Yeah, there's no automated solution available, because like if you use automated solution, and you will come across some domains which have very low bids and you will be like, wow, this domain is really good. But when you come to check that domain manually, you will find out it has some hidden problems. It could be penalty or bad links or anchors or something like that. But the thing is, like, these days the competition and demand of domains is so high that it's impossible that a decent domain will go for a very low price. That's the thing.
Got it. Will you pick a domain that was hit last year in the HCU update or this year's March core update or any of the recent Google updates? even if it has backlinks from sites like Forbes, Huffington, New York Times? Will you pick those kind of domains, let's say for link building purpose, 301 link building purpose?
Okay. So actually, like most of the domains we look for, they are legit businesses, right? So we like straight avoid the domains which were, money sites or, like any kind of PBN, because usually those domains don't have high quality links. They are mostly purchased guest post links profile, right? Because if we are buying domains, we have to make sure that was a legit business, and that domain has mostly great backlinks like Huffington Post, Forbes.com, and all of that. But if the domain was a money site like affiliate site, you can't really expect such kind of links, because most of the backlinks will be guest post, paid guest post, right? And also, if you're buying domains like which has like really strong links, and if it was hit by a algorithm penalty, right, even if it was a legit business, we personally avoid those domains, because we have not really seen really good success rate. So we preferably, like I told you earlier, that we prefer domains which have existing traffic. So there is no point of picking domains if there is no traffic and they got penalized in the past.
Can you still see traffic even if the domain is expired?
We use Ahrefs, and you can even use SEMrush. So the thing is, we carefully analyze the traffic in Ahrefs. So if, for example, like the domain traffic dropped in January 2024, but the domain was last live in February 2024, so it means that the traffic dropped in January, but the domain was still live in February, and it means that the person like abandoned the domain because it got a algorithm penalty, right? So we carefully check the date, like when the traffic got dropped, and when was the last time it was live in the archive.org. So that's the criteria you need to make sure.
How important is it to check the historical content of an expired domain, even if it has great traffic, great backlinks? Would you still consider checking the historical content of that domain?
Yeah, because it's really important to find those domains for us that were a legit business. Even if a domain, like for example, if a domain was a news website, for example, right, and it has great backlinks, we will
Yeah.
still not pick that domain, because that was not a legit business. Because all in this AI era, you can see people have like really hard time to rank content websites. So that's the thing. Like Google does not trust content websites a lot these days. Google trusts like forums like Reddit, Quora, and that's why they are ranking on the top for the keywords as well. So we prefer domains, and we avoid domains basically that were content websites before. And even if they had, really great backlinks, we prefer domains that were like legit business, even if they don't have the best backlinks. But if they have traffic, legit business, it's good for us. And if it has strong links, then it's the best of both worlds.
What do you think about expired domains that had great content, good traffic, good backlink profile, but these domains were dropped multiple times? Would you consider those kind of domains?
Okay, so here's the thing. So like how domains get dropped, let's first understand this, right? So whenever any domain gets expired, it first goes into the auction. So auctions like GoDaddy, right? Whenever a domain does not get sold into the auction, it moves to the drop. Because the reason why a domain does not get sold into the auction is because the domain was not really good, right? Now the domain will go for drop. It means like it will get deleted and anyone can register that domain. Okay. And if you just check the domains which were dropped, most of them don't have traffic. It's like 1% domains will have traffic. And if you are someone who just want to buy one or two domain or five domains, it's really the best way to get from the auctions. But if you're someone like who want to buy dozens of domains every month, you can check into the drop domains as well, because they work as well. However, it will take a lot of time. It's like finding a gem in the gold mine, right? Because it's really hard to expect a domain which is dropped.
Yeah.
It has really good quality backlinks. It has traffic as well.
What are some cleanup steps that you take once you buy an expired domain?
So cleanup steps is expired means are like very simple to use. It's not really complicated. However, if you are trying to build a website on expired domain, we have to make sure that the old pages, like either we have recovered them or we have redirected them to the home page. Because what most people do is like they buy an expired domain, and if the domain has lots of authority backlinks pointing to the inner pages, they don't do anything about it. So I recommend that, for example, most of our clients, what they do is they just redirect to the homepage. Because in iGaming niches, keywords are, like they rank the keywords for the homepage, right? So they want all the link juice to the homepage, and they personally prefer domains that have homepage backlinks. So they avoid the inner pages backlinks. So the thing is, like, there's no really a cleanup step apart from taking care of the inner pages if the domain has those backlinks. However, it's really important to understand, like, that you need to pick a really right domain. Otherwise, there are so many people, like I know someone like who have lost tens of thousands of dollars on buying domains and they didn't work out. So you need to be like very, very careful when buying domains for these competitive niches.
Someone bought a really good expired domain for boosting their ranking or their authority, what are some additional steps they can take to safeguard their growth?
Okay, so actually the thing is, so when you're redirecting the domain, you can definitely do all those sorts of legit things like PR and everything, right? But the thing is, there is no actual way to safeguard your website, because if you're redirecting a domain, you just have to make sure the domain is very relevant as much as possible. Because if you're redirecting a irrelevant domain, like for example, your website is in food niche and you're redirecting a tech domain, right? It's not really relevant, and Google can see the backlinks coming from the tech domain, right? And it's not relevant. So it's really important to buy a domain which is very, very relevant. And you can do a PR thing and all of those things. However, you just need to make sure the domain is like really, really relevant to your business.
Which niches work best for expired domains?
So okay, so let me just clarify. Like, we specialize in the iGaming niche, right? And niche doesn't matter in our industry, right? So like, let me continue on the last question as well. So when we redirect the domains in iGaming, we don't do PR and all of those things because it doesn't matter. And we don't even care about the niche. We just have to pick the right domains and we do the redirection. Because in the iGaming niche, most sites don't rank for long term. So it's like if they're ranking for 1 month, and people just have to do the numbers, right? So if they're ranking for 1 month, what they do is after 1 month, they just redirect the domain to another expired domain, and then they again get the rankings. Okay, so if they know that they're investing $10,000 on one domain every month and they're getting back $100,000 or $200,000 or even $500,000, it's worth their money. So they don't focus on ranking for long term, they focus on making money. So they understand, like, it requires only one domain every month to stay ranked on number one every day. Yeah, so like, I will share my experience based on iGaming, because niche doesn't matter. You just need to pick the domain with right traffic, legit history, and homepage backlinks, and the domain should not be dead for very long periods.
So, when you're working in the iGaming niche, is it safe to pick expired domains that were not exactly related to iGaming?
Yeah, like most of our clients, and even if you know some casino keywords or iGaming keywords in different countries, just check the top 10 websites and you will not find a single domain related to iGaming, or in fact you will not find related to gaming instead. You will find domain like some like kind of conference or like restaurants or maybe like any kind of brick and mortar legit business,
Right.
right? You will not find a single domain in gaming or iGaming niche.
Which are some foreign TLDs where you've seen massive amount of competition in the iGaming niche?
So TLDs.com,
Yeah.
because the thing is, people like, because there are so many iGaming countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Korea, Vietnam, Poland, Australia, and so many countries, right? And they know this thing that .coms are the best, and there's a huge demand for .com. If you don't believe me, just go into the auctions and you will see the highest bid on the domains are on the .com and not any other TLD.
Right.
So .com is the best because that represents a commercial intent, right?
Yeah.
And if the domain has a legit history, then it means that that was a legit business, right? Because that's what I'm saying. The domain should be a legit business. That's why .com.
Right. So even for your clients from Indonesia, Thailand, or Korea, is their first preference also a .com domain?
100%.
That's interesting. I would assume that they would go for, country specific TLDs or domains.
If you know any keyword, right, just type the keyword in Google and you will see, like, for example, you can just type the keyword like Judy slot or slot gazer, right? That's an Indonesian keyword. You will find most of the domains are .com or maybe .org, because that represents an organization, and that organization could be medical or educational related, because those are trustworthy domains as well. But you will not find a domain which was about a content website or a news website.
You were saying you've been in this business for close to what, 9 or 10 years now? What's been your best client acquisition strategy?
We don't do a lot of marketing because our best clients come from referrals. Because when I personally work with clients, they love the work so much that they spread the word. And some of them, don't like to spread the word because they are like, I want to buy all the domains. But we have tried all sorts of things. However, we have found that the best clients come from referrals. And of course, we have got some clients from Google as well, but referrals is the best.
Anything else that has worked for you besides referrals?
So we sent some feedback form like how did you hear about serp names? And people have even written like they came from Google. But I would still recommend like whatever form of marketing you use, if you focus on giving results to the client, even if you have to compromise on your margins on the first transaction, if you can build the trust and bring the ROI to the client, you can charge much higher for your next deal, and that client will be loyal forever and he will refer clients. So make sure that you focus on providing value, because that's how we switched from just selling domains to providing results to iGaming industries, and that's how we are spreading, and our clients are loving the results and they are referring as well.
With all the Google updates that happened since last year, especially, and this year we've seen so many updates happening, did that affect your business in any way, in a good or bad way?
I would say in a good way, because there's a less competition. Like most people, like we have seen, like there's a huge demand for domains after this Google update, because more and more people buying the domains for iGaming and less people buying for building niche sites. So yeah, of course the business is growing, and like 95% of the domains are being used in iGaming. 5%, right?
Wow.
So this is like a very huge industry, and it's definitely growing. And in 2025, there will be a lot more competition, and the auctions will be double or triple expensive than it is right now. Like the domains are usually go for auctions like $15,000 to $20,000 nowadays. So for a like really really good domain, people see the ROI, they make millions of dollars per month, and they don't mind investing tens of thousands of dollars on domains.
Got it. And after your clients buy expired domains from you, whether they redirect it or they build a fresh site on it, what kind of link building strategies do you usually see them applying, especially in very competitive iGaming countries? Do they go for PBNs or niche edits or guest posts? What kind of link building strategies do you usually see working really well for them?
Okay, so there's one specific, and it is guest post from high DR and traffic websites. We suggest them as well, those kind of links, because those links come from within the content, right? And there are so many links, people even use hack links as well in this industry, because it's kind of dirty. But if you want to stick your rankings, because people even do parasite SEO and a lot of things, people even do web shell, and there's a lot of things going on in iGaming, right? But my personal recommendation is when you combine the expired domain with high DR traffic guest post, you see the best results.
Sumit, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. What's the best way for our audience, for our listeners to, stay in touch with your updates? You keep sharing a lot of information with regards to expired domains. What's the best way for them to stay updated with that?
They can add me on Facebook, and they can even like if they sign up on like if they go to serpnames.com and they create an account there, they will definitely get added to the email list automatically. They can follow me on Facebook, and if they like to do business or want to learn about the strategy and how we can help them, they can add me on Telegram, and I will mention everything in the description so they can check out if they're interested.
Great. Thank you so much, Sumit. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome, man. Thank you so much.